How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. Today we are looking at a video by Homestead Horsemanship. Somebody recommended I look at this video, and they were not very happy with the way this guy handles this horse, apparently named Karen. In the thumbnail it says, "Not today, Karen." The title of this video, Karen Took It Too Far, Training an Aggressive Horse. So, before I get into it, if you want to see this video in its entirety without my stops and critiquing and all that, then go check it out first by Homestead Horsemanship. Karen Took It Too Far, Training an Aggressive Horse. I go into this reacting to this blind, so I don't know what's happened. I'm just going to give you my reaction and my response to what I see. So far, I see we got a lunge stick. We've got a very long loop on this halter. We got wraps around it, which I don't know if this twisting would be more or less comfortable for the horse. And I saw a really long flapping end of this halter, the tie part of the halter that I would probably tuck in, where you can cut it shorter and you can tuck it into the throat latch. Right here we have very wide eye, worried eye. Horse is looking into light, and this eye is looking into the dark. We're in a round pen, in a covered area. If the horse happens to break out of this, there's a lot of things that it could get hurt by. I'm not saying that the horse is going to break out of this. I mean, we've got nice shavings on the ground for a round pen. But again, you're working in light and dark. When you have shadows with a horse, it takes their eyes time to adjust to the lighting. So if they're working in a lot of lights and darkness and shadows, that can affect how you work with them and how they respond to you. So that's all I've seen. When you name a horse Karen, or you name them, certain things, and you say, oh, Karen took it too far, or oh, she's being a Karen, then, I think, okay, I kind of wonder how, I wonder about other things. If you start name calling an animal, name him backbreaker, then you're going to think and try to act and treat him like he's a backbreaker. So if you like this person, go support them. If you like me, then of course you're welcome to and appreciated to support. But let's get into it.
She wants me to be nice to her, but I'm not going to take any guff off of her today.
So we got a knot here, pressure point. I don't know why. This is the tie point on the other end, that right here. That's on the other end of the halter that looks like this, that I would tuck in. I don't know why he's already correcting her for doing nothing. She's standing there nicely.
She's been getting a little dangerous out in the pasture. I'm not going to tolerate any hollering for other horses.
Don't pat the horse. She gave you a tail swish because she was either you scared her or she's not comfortable with that.
I'm going to even entice her into kicking at me like she's starting to think is a good idea.
Okay, so this is that really long rope that could easily hit her in the eye. This metal clip could easily hit her in the face. This halter is way too big for her. This part is just way too long. I would tuck that at least in there, and I would have a small, overall halter on her. But he doesn't seem to care about that. He wants to set this horse up for failure. And I'm not saying that you can't correct a horse that is being dangerous. There's a difference, but we're gonna see what he does.
Well, I mean, like, if I see something she's not happy with, I might push just a little bit further. And if she kicks at me, she's going to get
So he's got this rope looped. It doesn't look like it's the accordion way, where it's back and forth. It looks like it's looped around his hand. So that's a dangerous thing. If this horse, I know you're in a round pen, if this horse happens to, pull this rope tight enough, it can catch your hand and you're in trouble.
And then eventually my goal is...
So she could have been swishing her tail because she was chasing flies earlier.
But I'm going to lay her down with ropes. Not as a trick, but as a submissive...
Don't. You do whatever you want to with horses, man. I mean, you do whatever you want to with any animal. But I don't ever recommend, condone, nor support anyone lying a horse down, period. Even for a trick. Especially not with ropes, so he can flood her. That's not going to make her more submissive in general, I don't think. Like, only to him. I don't know.
Mental exercise.
It's not a mental exercise, it's mental abuse.
Dominion over horses, and a lot of people confuse that for dominate. And when I'm talking about dominion, I never mean dominate. Today is an exception. Today, we need to get to a spot where she feels dominated.
He is correcting her so long. He's correcting her for being a horse. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, big guy. Go ahead and correct an animal that won't fight back. Try this with a truly aggressive horse and you'd be dead. But he feels safe with his round pen. He feels safe with his little stick. He feels safe with a rope around their face that he can correct and back her up and pop her when she's trying to call for another horse.
Because she's getting out of control and she's getting unsafe. So
well, what is out of control for you? What is unsafe for you? I don't know. Look at this worried look. Whale eyes. Ears are back.
How I train generally. She's an exception. And it's due to her
Don't pat
pedigree.
her.
I'm not even going to be doing this as a teaching mechanism because I don't really recommend anybody.
Then why are you videoing it and putting it out on the internet? Somebody is going to learn from this. They learn by example. So you can teach them. I worked with a semi-aggressive horse recently. I mean, she could become aggressive and dangerous, but she taught me how to work with her in a way that is safe, that teaches her that you can't be striking at people. You can't be trying to kick and nip at people. Now, maybe she wasn't necessarily aggressive to other people. To me, it was more aggressive than the other horses that I have ever worked with. So I just moved her feet. I changed direction. I asserted dominance in that way, where I was able to teach her that, hey, when you look at me, you don't have to work. When you try to strike at me, you're going to move very quickly. You're going to change directions. You're going to work. You're not going to like it. I'm going to put pressure on you. Not pressure by ever putting her on the ground. Not pressure by smacking her with a rope. Just using a flag, something that I was trying to desensitize her to that she didn't like, and she became more aggressive. And so I sensitized her to it. So I said, okay, you want to be that way, then we're going to be scared of this flag. Now, just yesterday, I worked with her with the very flag, and I was able to brush her with it. So I was still able to desensitize her to that.
If you got a horse that acts like this, and you're not a professional,
like
send it to a professional. And if you are a professional,
what is she acting
I'm not
like?
going to be teaching you anything today that you don't already know.
Okay, thank you for taking that into the throat latch.
It's just going to be hard for people to understand when they've learned about pressure and release and
why are you popping her?
Horsemanship methods.
Ouch.
Okay,
sorry. I know it's not ouch. It's just instinctively I say that when they correct the horse. So when I say ouch, a lot of people get irritated by it. Okay, bye. See you later. But that's me timing the correction. So when I say ouch, it means that that's a correction. It doesn't mean it hurt the horse, but I mean, her horses are very sensitive. So that was a correction to the horse. And I don't know why he's correcting her.
You still have to keep some other tools in your bag. Like I say, I
let go of the damn halter, dude.
Even the last 100 horses I've trained, can you remember me doing this?
No,
okay.
It's been since general.
I don't care what you mean or what you've done before or whatnot. I want to see if this horse is really aggressive or not.
Horse, and I'm thinking about safety. It's not safe for Emery to go out in the herd with this horse, or even Becca. Becca's getting pretty good, but her read on a big herd dynamic is still not as good as mine, and she's almost got kicked by her a few times.
You don't have to do this on camera, but you actually never prayed for her that I remember. You could say prayer over her, but you don't have to.
No, yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't have to have the camera on you.
No, that's fine. I'm afraid if I pray for her, though, I won't be able to get the lesson through to her because she'll just get too soft.
Okay.
So I think I'll pray for her after the lesson. So this will be the turning point.
Okay.
I'll get this lesson.
I mean, so far the horse seems fine. Seems respectable. I mean, they have a short rope, but it seems like they're looking to him. They're kind of facing him a little bit. I mean, not super submissive, but for you to do this to the horse here, the horse may not associate it with anybody else or in any other environment. Just because you lay the horse down, the horse will know, don't mess with this guy, but your daughters or whoever, Becca and everybody else's, that's not going to translate to them. And I would rather, if a horse kicks at you 2 days ago or yesterday or earlier in the day, this is not going to translate to stop the horse from kicking. If a horse kicks at me or threatens to kick at me, I'm going to take care of it in that moment. I'm going to toss a brush or wave a flag or smack my hat on my leg to get them moving and chase them a little bit until they turn and face me. I'm going to put pressure on them in that moment to teach them, hey, don't do that. When it comes to safety with horses, you got to be a little bit more direct. I mean, because as much as I don't want to have to put pressure on them, if I'm working with a horse, I will put pressure on them if I feel like my life is in danger. But even then, I'm not going to smack them with a rope, or I'm not going to hit them across the face with anything. I don't work with horses that are so dangerous that people feel the need to do that.
And I think it's going to be a one-time lesson. After this lesson's over,
if it's a one-time lesson, you're abusing your animal.
Dominion with Holy Spirit on her, and we shouldn't have to go this route again, ever.
This is not to do with religion or anything like that. If you're religious, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I believe in all religions and all beings and whatnot, all that out there, omnistic. But it's not to do with religion, but praying, in my opinion, praying a behavior way is just not how you fix something. That's me. Okay, we don't need to get into any kind of a nasty fight in the comments. If you want to talk about your own religion, that's fine. But, let's not have anybody getting nasty here, because we all have the right to our own beliefs. And that is my belief that, unless you put the fear of God, which sounds like what he's doing, is putting the fear of God into this horse by abusing it and then acting like, oh, I'll save you. I'm your savior.
It should just be normal training. But if I pray for her, the chances of her doing anything wrong to get disciplined for it right now will be drastically decreased. And I'm actually looking for her to do something wrong right now so I can correct it. Kind of an odd way of thinking about it, but that's how I feel, so I'm going to go with my gut. Good girl.
So I wouldn't throw the rope at her face. I would move further this way to get behind the drive line to get her to move. I don't want her to be head shy. I don't know if she even knows how to lunge. So he's just chasing her.
Yeah.
All right. She's moving.
Just to be clear, I'm smacking the ground to get her to move, not smacking the horse.
Yes,
she hasn't
I get
done
that.
anything wrong.
Got me a little louder whip today than I normally use that I can smack the ground with. And you can see I'm kind of tickling and pushing on her sometimes around that back leg, giving her a chance of getting at it and kick.
Okay, so lovely.
That's actually going to be better than what I could have done to her.
So she got the whip caught around her leg. Why didn't you show what happened when you stopped her and got the whip off her leg? Why didn't you show that? That just seems like, I mean, he's got like a whole big herd of horses, a whole bunch, whole ranch and farm and all that. So he probably doesn't take the time to teach each horse to be okay with things around their legs, blah, 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 all that stuff. I don't care, but you're, of course she's going to kick when you tickle her back legs, because it seems like she may not have been conditioned to that. That's different than if you're walking up on her and she turns her butt and threatens to kick you. To me, that's different than something tickling her. She says, what is that? It's going to kill me. Versus a human walking up and just handling her with your regular hands or your brush or whatever else you're doing. I mean, is it still important to teach them not to kick? Yes, this is not how I do it. But I feel like there's a difference between using a lunge whip and just a human approaching her and her threatening to kick.
How that caught her leg and jerked with her, it's going to make her think that was a bad idea.
He doesn't even know how to stop her. He's just pulling her head away, and then he's going to make her go the other way. He doesn't know how to get in front of the drive line, or he's too lazy to do it, or he's just too ignorant, or he doesn't care. You need to move in front of the drive line, in front of the shoulder, to stop the horse, to actually get them to face you. If you just take their head away, I mean, she's in a round pen. Why do you even have her rope halter on anyway? Probably because of his lack of understanding of a horse, or because he's too lazy, or because he feels safer with the rope, being able to correct her. I don't know. I wouldn't have a rope on her. If she's in a round pen, I would much rather just use her in a round pen without her halter on, and I would round pen her that way, and I would work with her that way, because then you don't have the cheat of pulling her head in. You actually have to use your body. You actually have to move. You have to be in shape enough to work with the horse and smart enough to work with the horse. So she's scared.
Kind of a nervous poop there. She's starting to realize that I mean business and that she's
So now he's just coming up to her after chasing her. She's starting to sweat. Now he's going to start to desensitize her with the whip. He's just putting more and more and more pressure on her.
That she's in. I'm being a
I
little
don't like
aggressive.
chasing a horse like this. I don't care if even the horse that I was working with that was aggressive, the reason I didn't chase her is because she would try to strike more. I would lunge her. I wouldn't chase her because I didn't want to set her over threshold to where she'd become aggressive, but I was able to keep her at a distance and use what she was fearful of to keep her moving. Then, the next time I saw her, I was able to desensitize her to it. So she can still see it as something bad if I needed to, but, you know, the goal is, for me, is trying to understand, you know, if I push too much. The reason why she became so aggressive in the first place was because I was pushing her too much. I started to chase her. I tried to hold on to her too much, like you know, people show you, oh, don't let that horse get loose. Don't let that horse back up. Don't let blah, 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 blah. And so when I tried that nonsense, to me, it's nonsense. Then the horse said, you know what, I'm in flight. I can't get away. I have to go to fight. And a lot of other horses don't go to fight. This is an Icelandic pony. So, you know, she's probably not used to too many other you know, ways to run. She's probably more used to, hey, I fight more than flight. You know, she seems to think a little bit more like a mule or something that you know, an animal that doesn't have a lot of ability to run. So they go to fighting first. And maybe it's just this individual mare. Maybe she's just a spicy mare. But either way, I don't like just chasing, because eventually the horse, when they can't get released, they may turn to fight, and you will turn this into an aggressive horse. So I'm not going to chase her 1 minute and then just go straight to desensitizing. You know, I mean, I'll chase her a little bit, and then I'll let him take a break, and then I'll start walking around with the whip and just kind of doodling along, move it on the ground a little bit, desensitize her that way, and then I would work my way up to touching her. But if I'm first working on a disciplinary lesson, you know, then I work on that first, and then I come back later and work on desensitizing. For me, I you know, that might be the wrong thing to do. That's just what I do. You know, I'll still kind of desensitize them a little bit, but I'll work them, you know, and let them know, hey, you can't do that. Then I let them give them time to relax, and then we go on about our day. And then later on, I come back and I teach them, when they already respect me, I teach them, hey, you don't have to be afraid of me when I have this item, and I just do it in 2 separate lessons. That's just me.
And a little forward towards her because she has been kicking at us in the pasture. So I'm wanting her to react in a way like that now so that I can correct it.
A little bit of release, but it's caught around her leg. More pressure, more pressure, more pressure.
I'm trying to add a little stress.
More pressure.
It's opposite of all my other training videos.
She's a good horse. She doesn't seem aggressive at all. An aggressive horse would already turn and strike at you and bite at you.
She needs to go through something today a little
Why are you correcting her? Oh, now I'm going to pat you. I love you.
She's actually choosing
Her little bit of release is right here. She's not an aggressive horse.
Take the pressure away a little.
I mean, hell, the horse that I worked with isn't even really aggressive. She was just being, you know,
Choosing the right things, but I mean,
she was being pushy.
Not kicking out. She's starting to realize, oh no, I'm kind of in trouble.
She shouldn't realize that she's in trouble.
Bigger than me.
And you shouldn't. You're only bigger than her because you can trap her in this area and use a whip on her. That is it. Without your tools, you were nothing. And she's not even really aggressive.
Good girl. Get her down
Again.
in a lower spot. Yeah, go ahead and get mad about that. See what happens.
For the commenters that are going to be complaining, let me just tell you, 5 minutes of hard work like this.
Quit patting her, dude.
Or start heading the right direction for the rest of its life is well worth any stress she's going to go through.
No, it's not. You're just excusing yourself for being an abusive bully. She's not an aggressive horse, dude. You are such a loser. You're taking advantage of a poor horse. She's just sniffing.
If I'm gonna get bit, I'd rather be in
She's not trying to bite you. If she wanted to, she would get you right now. She's letting you pick up her feet. She's being very, very good. She just wants to sniff and see what you're doing. She's being very good. Quit smacking her.
Mm-hmm, I could tell.
Now for a kicky horse, taking her off balance,
as this lesson
twisting
gets
out
more
her leg,
intrusive and rougher, if you're one of the people that don't like it, maybe you should just click off of the video and watch one of my other videos. But do a little thought experiment. If this behavior isn't ripped out by the roots, this horse could end up bouncing from owner to owner with unsatisfied
Oh, so you have to abuse the horse to save its life. Okay, I get it.
people and not ever have the home she deserves.
Start up. A lot of you might be thinking that I could just give her the regular
Let go
lesson,
of her
but
head,
I didn't
dude.
expect her to be bad when she knew she was caught and knew she was, you know, under control.
Quit smacking her. Horses don't like that. I don't care that you're trying to irritate her. You're irritating me.
She's got a sweet side, like I said, and she's had some training.
She seems like a perfectly good horse, and you're just an idiot who's trying to abuse her, and you're going to lay down on her like the Amish do and like other very aggressive techniques do to abuse an animal for no other reason other than saying, I need to dominate it. Try this with a truly aggressive horse.
She's not doing it out of fear. She's not doing it out of, you know, prior abuse or whatever people were going to comment. She's doing it out of...
Oh, great. Now you're going to hobble her.
Boss
Lovely.
mare syndrome and a little bit of just testing her limits and honerness. And that's why we showed the clips in the field to show why this...
Chain hobbles. Lovely. Hobbles are what you put around the front feet.
Training is necessary today. So what I've got...
I don't have a problem with hobbling a horse or teaching them. I wouldn't use chain. I wouldn't use anything metal like that around their feet. You know, they have different types of hobbles you can use. I teach horses to accept ropes around their feet where they can't move. You know, I think it's great to hobble train a horse, but not for this instance.
Is a set of hobbles. You see they're padded inside of there?
Oh, it's so nice, but there's
so
rusted metal on the outside. That if she happens to get her face caught in between, she can cut up her face and hurt her face.
Injury, and I'm not going to hobble her. I'm going to use these to help lay her down. And
help force her to lay down.
I want to teach her to lay down. If I was teaching a trick, it would look completely different than this.
Sure.
What I'm doing,
whatever you say, dude.
Make
whatever you need to do to sleep at night.
Have a little bit of a stressful.
This horse is so accepting of you. She is so patient.
Okay, I'm just going to let her feel that that's on there. Keep her from freaking out.
She's such a good little girl.
Where I only had the one.
I would love to work with this horse.
That ain't an option right now. If you don't have a hobble, well, like I said before.
So he has a rope tied, it looks like, to her foot, and he's pulling it up.
If I didn't have a hobble, I would use a cotton rope, not a nylon rope like this. Cotton's far less likely to rope burn. And I've seen people do it with
He's backing her into the fence. I don't like that. She's going to feel trapped. He doesn't notice it. He doesn't care. He probably wants that.
I put an extra bag of shavings out here today.
Oh, because you're so kind. You care so much for the horse.
Soft spot for her to lay down.
Oh, yeah. He really cares about her.
The chances of me getting her to lay down in the right spot.
Oh, poor thing. This horse is so accepting. She is so patient.
There. Right there is good.
I wouldn't be, I'm telling you now, I would not be pulling a horse with something on their foot towards me because there's too much of a chance that they're going to jump at me trying to get away from whatever it is that they're fearful of. In this case, the hobble. And I wouldn't just put it on and keep it on.
So,
lovely.
I'm going to do...
Don't do this at home. I know that he said he didn't do it, but he made a video showing you all the steps that he's doing. I don't know why he needs to. He doesn't need to.
From the off side or from the near side.
This horse is so patient. She does not need any of this. No horse needs it. Even the most aggressive horse in the world doesn't need it. Poor horse. Little doggy over here.
Probably should have done it from the near side.
Ouch. Pulling on her head with that rope. These are handcuffs for this horse, in this case.
Okay, let me explain some of the things that are going on with the setup I have here. The half hitch around her barrel is constricting, which makes some young horses just lay down on their own. If you notice, when you put a saddle on a horse for the first time, if you try to pick up its feet, a lot of times they'll lay down, or they'll just lay down from the field.
Only if you're cutting them in half with a cinch, if you don't teach them properly to accept it, which is how you can start any horse. You don't just put a saddle on a young horse and then start riding them away for hours and hours. You have to set them up for success. You don't just throw a saddle on them and do that.
So that is what that constriction feeling does with the rope half hitch. It also helps me hold the foot up when she doesn't want it up. This fight and a little bit of panic that she shows when she's starting to feel this is part of the fight and the spike and the adrenaline dump that I'm going to need for her to eventually surrender and have the
it's called learned helplessness. You're an abusive bully.
emotional dump and adrenaline dump that I'm looking for later.
Learned helplessness.
Game of patience too. I don't want to use a ton of force. I mean, I'm forcing her to the ground, but I'd rather.
I'm not using a ton of force, although I am forcing her to the ground. This is a ton of force, dude. It's not going to go down naturally. Dog over there could be another distraction. How did she hobble all the way over here?
Pretty funny watching her try to figure this out because she don't have no idea what I want.
Did he say it's funny watching her figure this out? Oh, this poor thing. She could break a leg. She's just twisting her... She's sweating.
There's a way to do this with the back leg too, but this way takes a little more patience.
Oh, you're so kind.
A little bit of time to figure it out.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. This poor thing.
I don't have any pressure on it.
It doesn't matter. She's still freaking out. Now the dog is inside.
Close to what I want.
Oh, this
Gate
poor
wasn't there, so you
horse.
can flop down now. Here we go.
Ouch. Freaking out. Now he's going to lay on her.
Where the lesson begins.
Oh, God. Dog is not helping.
Get on them. Nothing is sacred. Stick my fingers up their nose. Stick them in their ears. Things that normally you wouldn't get away with.
You can absolutely get away with if you do it right. This is animal abuse 101. This poor horse can't breathe because this fat ass is hanging around on it. Look, I'm all for body positivity, but in this case, he's a fat ass. A lot of weight put on her own body. She can't breathe. He's hanging around on her neck, leaning with his elbow on her neck, on her head, grabbing her tongue.
Let me see it.
Poor thing. She can't breathe enough as it is. Holding her tongue. Ouch.
Pet it.
Ouch.
Switch over.
Oh, God, this poor thing. He's leaning on her neck. Do you know how heavy this guy is?
Between their legs, up under their tail root.
This horse cannot breathe.
I'm only doing this once today, so I'll just go ahead and take this off now.
Once today. Do you plan to do it more?
Probably only do this once in her life, really. Unless she ever kicks at me again.
Oh, so then you're going to lay her down. If she kicks at you again, because you don't know how to apply pressure or work with the horse, that it's not this abusive, that you don't know how to apply pressure otherwise. The only way you know how to correct a kicking problem is by laying the horse down and laying on top of them. knee in their neck and flooding them. This is... This is sad. This is learned helplessness. This is the cheater, lazy way. This horse cannot
she's
breathe.
given up pretty. She has no fight to her.
That is not what you want.
That was the object of the game.
You're a
All this
flippin'
false
idiot.
mare fight out of her.
That's her struggling to breathe.
Say,
Still has his
most
knee in her
horses
neck.
don't have any fight in them. They just want to be your best friend anyway.
Yeah, using her jaw to lean his body up.
She wants to be my best friend, but wants to be in charge, so she's got a little fight.
So he's ruining this horse. I don't care if a horse is sassy. I don't care if a horse has personality. You can have horses with personality that are still safe to be around. You can teach a horse that is sassy to still be safe around you. I mean, there's a horse that I don't actually work with, but she's on the property, and she always pins her ears at everybody. She hates humans because her mother is so aggressive with her. She doesn't get away with it, so I try to just brush her out every now and then because nobody really cares about her. I brush her out a little bit, and one time she turned the butt to me, so I threw the brush at her and I smacked my hat and she went running, and then I kept her out of her little shelter. She turned around and started coming right back to the shelter, and I said, no, you're staying out of this shelter. You get to stand outside in the sun for a couple of minutes before I let you back in. It wasn't a hot day. It wasn't anything like that. It was still the middle of fall, but I said, no, this is my shelter now. And she stood and looked at me and then, dropped her head, and I said, okay. And then I left, and she was able to have her shelter back. That was all it took. She's still sassy because I don't work with her every day, because it's not my horse to work with. But I don't need to do anything like this, even with the horse that I was working with that tried to strike when she was fearful. You certainly don't need to do anything like this with.
This is not typical of my training. Well, I know we're going to get a ton of hate comments, but I wanted to show this because
She's
every
kicking at a
horse is
fly.
different. You go say, I use Monty Roberts Equus pressure and release for all my horses.
Because that's how they
You train
work.
every horse the same way.
You certainly can. Pressure and release is how they work. Don't excuse this bullshit, abusive technique. This horse can't breathe.
I use that too.
Shallow
But if you
breathing.
got one that's dangerous, you got to have another toolbox. And I'm doing this with love. I'm not
This horse is
mad at
not.
her.
Oh my God, dude. Don't try to tell me you do this for love. You don't love this horse if you're doing this. Shut up. I'm sure I'm going to have people coming in here hating on me because this guy's great and he's amazing and I need to do more research on him and blah, 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 blah. Okay. God, this poor horse. This is learned helplessness and it's abuse. I don't care what you say.
I want her to be a sweet, good girl.
I want her to be a sweet, good girl, so I'm laying my entire body on her. I'm rolling around on her. I just tied her up and threw her down and but I love her. None of this is love for a horse. None of this is. Now, should you still teach a horse to be safe? Absolutely, but this is not how you do it. Aggressively messing with her face. He's going to use her jawline to stand up.
Good time to pray for her.
Oh, Lord. Sorry, I don't mean to say that in vain, or I don't mean to say that to upset people, for their religious beliefs. Like, everybody else has the right to their own religious beliefs. If people don't want to believe, I don't care. If they want to believe, I don't care. But now, after abusing an animal, you're going to act like you can pray it away. And the horse does not give a shit. She's just waiting for you to get your fat body off of her.
I'll leave her hooked. Pet her when she gets up.
Sweating. I don't know who sweat more, him or the horse. And that's not anything personal. That's not another weight thing. I sweat a lot too. But in this case, are you sweating more, or is that from the horse sweating? The girl doesn't care about your good girl. The horse doesn't care about your good girl.
Some more rubbings.
She doesn't want rubbing. She wants you to leave her alone. She doesn't know
if that foot is still tied up.
She doesn't know that she's safe.
Keep petting on her there.
No, don't keep petting on her.
can,
Leave her alone.
Yeah. Good girl.
Oh, she's got shavings in her eyes, in her ears.
She's thinking about that lesson. She's like, whoa, that was a lot.
She's shut down.
She's thinking, I don't know about this deal.
She's shut
you can tell
down.
She's submitted. Like, she's staying down below me. This is like, prey animal's worst nightmare. To stay below or controlled while on the ground by a predator.
This poor thing.
Which
She's so sweet. She's not aggressive at all. I didn't see any bit of aggression. Yeah, she kicked when the whip was around there. Of course, a lot of horses will kick. That's why you stay out of the kick zone when you're desensitizing them.
Humans are predators. Our eyes are on the front of our heads, not the sides. We have
Quit tapping on her. Does she lay down again, or does he lay her down?
They know that.
Quit tapping on her.
Oh.
That's not funny. Yeah. She doesn't say more, please, you idiot. You're blind to this bullshit. She thinks she's still caught, so she just says, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna die. Just do it. She's not asking for more pets and more pats and more love and more, come scratch my tummy.
Actually, it's been bred into them for thousands and thousands of years, and on top of that, they were created by God to serve us.
No, they weren't. Shut up, loser. They were not created to serve you. Humans are so egotistical with their opposable thumbs and their head up their ass that they think that everything on this earth was created to serve us. We are the most destructive creature on the face of the planet. And when we're now we're gonna see if she can get up again. Again, she just fight is gone. It's not funny. The fight is gone in her.
She's just doing this to get a bunch of comments in the channel that aren't gonna know what.
She's wheezing because she can't breathe. She's been down so long. She's probably inhaled a bunch of shavings.
Talking about. I promise you.
Oh no, she's being a Karen.
Yeah, it's so funny that she's being a Karen.
Give up. Scratch your belt.
She doesn't care for a belly scratch, you moron. So then there's a cut. I don't know how long it took for her to get up. How he got her up. Maybe he dragged her up. How did you get her up? And there's still shavings in her eye.
Term effects. No damage, no limping.
Well, we haven't seen her moving. We haven't seen her moving. We don't know that there's no limping. How did you get her up? How long did it take you to get her up? Did you have to drag her up? We didn't see how she moved. She's standing still. We can't tell if there's...
Up here is what we're hoping for.
There's no long-term... We can't tell if there's no limping. Look at how sweaty she is. Look how sweaty she is.
But yeah, she's perfectly fine.
You have to drag her around. She's completely soaked in sweat.
Over this, I'm in charge of human thing.
No, she'll think that for you. She'll think that for you, not every other human.
Like other horses think.
God, this poor thing.
Give her a little drink and a snack.
Uh-huh, that's exactly what the Amish do. They beat the shit out of a horse, or they tie them up and they lay them down. That's what sacking out originally came from. They get these empty sacks and they tap it on the horse and they put water on him and all this and that. And they do this to flood the horse so that they don't react to anything else. And then they leave them tied up for, they could be hours, I don't know. Then they bring them water when the horse is so exhausted and fearful, and they bring them water as if to say, look, I'm a good guy. I'm your savior.
Stew on it. Anytime I do a lesson like that, I don't want to turn them right back in a herd. I want to put her in a box stall for the night.
Oh, lovely.
Think about it and soak on
lovely,
it overnight.
Lovely. Yeah, so now I just abused you, and I'm going to keep you locked up alone from the herd. You can't even go back to your herd for comfort. God, this guy is an absolute moron. Okay, that's it. I don't care. That's the end of the video. I did not expect to get this upset. I don't recommend anything this guy has done. I think it's absolutely just a bunch of BS and he's talking one way and doing another thing. He says one thing but does another. She didn't take it too far. He did. This guy took it too far. Horsemanship my ass. Alright, sorry I got really, I said a lot of things. Hopefully I have not offended people. If I have, then, you have a right to feel how you feel. That's this video. In the meantime, hope you all are doing well. Go say howdy do to your little critters. Say howdy do for me. Give them some kind of loving they appreciate. Please don't ever do this. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.